Genesis 5 and 11, Chronogenealogies in the Biblical History of Beginnings, by Gerhard F. Hasel. There is a renewed interest in biblical genealogies in general, and in Genesis 5 and 11 in particular. It is important to consider Genesis 5 and 11 in view of their unique nature and function in the book of Genesis, and in relation to other genealogies, their textual history, and their interpretation. This article will deal with the first two. These genealogies are unique because they trace the godly line, the carriers of God's promises, from Adam to Noah in Genesis 5, and from Shem to Abram in Genesis 11. Unlike the description of Cain's descendants, which gives only the father-son relationships and some details about the origins of antediluvian culture, Seth's genealogy contains interlocking pieces of chronological information for each patriarch: his birth, age at the birth of his first son, the subsequent years that he lived, and the total years lived. The author suggests the term chronogenealogies to describe this combination of chronological and genealogical information. These interlocking time specifications are not found in any other genealogies. There are several different translations of the numbers from Genesis 5 and 11 in different biblical manuscripts. This article will deal with the Hebrew or Masoretic text, the Samaritan Pentateuch, and the Greek Septuagint. Other accounts exist, such as Josephus's writings, but they end up not being much help. Caution is in order in view of probable systemization in the Book of Jubilees. All known Hebrew manuscripts agree in both Genesis 5 and 11 in their listing of the antediluvian and post-diluvian patriarchs, and the respective time information for each one. The information in these manuscripts is completely irregular, with no evidence of scheme or system. A comparison of the Hebrew text with the Samaritan version shows that no pattern in lifespans exists in the Hebrew text, but lifespans are decreasing in the Samaritan version. The Hebrew text shows no pattern in the year of the firstborn, while the Samaritan version reveals decreasing ages in the year of the firstborn. Lifespans recorded in the Samaritan version appear to be adjusted near the time of the flood. How do scholars tell which manuscripts are original? Systemization is evidence of alteration, while non-schematized figures are considered original. Scholarly consensus is that the Hebrew text has preserved the original figures in their purest form. Different Septuagint manuscripts contain textual variants. Comparing the Vaticanus manuscript with the Alexandrinus manuscript shows at least two variations. One shows Methuselah's age when his son was born as 167, while the other one shows that he was 187 years old. In the Vaticanus, Methuselah outlived the flood by 14 years. Nahor's age when his son was born is off by 100 years in the two manuscripts. One says 179 years, while the other says 79 years. Septuagint manuscripts record the addition of a second Canaan in the list of generations from the flood to Terah. The Book of Jubilees includes Canaan as well, but he is not listed in the Hebrew, Samaritan Pentateuch, Vulgate, Syriac versions, or the writings of Josephus. This puzzle remains largely unsolved. It has been suggested that Canaan was inserted on purpose to come up with a specific number of years from creation to Solomon's temple. Another suggestion is that a scribal error added Canaan and copied the figures by mistake for Shelah, who follows him in the list. Comparing the Hebrew with the Septuagint, we see that the Hebrew chronology is shorter and irregular. The Septuagint figures are longer and show far greater regularity in all categories of figures. Majority scholarly opinion holds that the less schematized and the more irregular chronology has claim to originality. The author draws the following conclusions. The Hebrew Masoretic text has non-schematic figures. The Samaritan version shows evidence of schematization, and the Septuagint even more so. At the present, it is impossible to decide on the basis of external evidence which figures have priority and claim originality. The complete article by Dr. Hasel may be found in the journal Origins.